Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about a few topics that are very important in the trade every moment. We have some special guests. They are Dana Rodriguez, Steven Ortiz, Laura Lara, John James, and me, Santiago Castro. To start this conversation, let me ask you, how do you think the trade has evolved?
Within the last months, the world supply chains have elbowed their way into the foreground as surging demand for goods and supply disruption and restrictive the flow of trade.
From my point on the view, there are ports around the world, dozens of the ship stay high, we contain wide an anchor for their to turn and low while the cost to ship about from China to American West coast has jumped roughly 10 for pandemic level.
Customers are learning how a ship stuck in the Suez Canal can disrupt the near instant access to goods they take for granted. And manufacturers are discovering that leading supply chains can mean inadequate access to the essential components as well as lowest cost.
One of the view problems are description are one reason inflation is high in American Britain and let's work but among the lowest blues markets are working as they normally tend to do amphibians and feeding routes are out of the blockages under instance a pressure global supply chain are not in fact failing, they are rather adapting.
The trade began in 2020 when fears that had little production in the expansion of a slow Israel faced heavy demand for cars, electronics, and home service. Dangerous stimulus in America especially kept other books for why the pandemic squid depending toward goods rather than service.
The strains on supply chains will leave their mark. This year, capital expenditure will be exceptional. Global investment is likely to be 15% above of the pre-pandemic level by the end of 2021.
Today, arms race has been concentrated mostly out of public view at sea. Its pyrite geography is the Western Pacific, that vast stretch of waterways of Hawaii, the Luzon Strait, which connects the Philippine Sea to the South China Sea, has replaced the Fulda Gap that straddles it and West Germany as the most critically tense piece of geography in the world. And if war breaks out on the oceans, perhaps triggered by a crisis over Taiwan, it's mostly likely to start there.
The Cold War becomes a call for countries to make the ocean a common good, which imposes that those who do not obtain this service will not have maritime entry, generate difficulties in the export or import of
Oral naval supremacy is really beyond China's reach, and while it can get for the Russian Navy, its other friends are limited. Give up China's current stays in the flow of energy and goods across its water borders. It could be argued that its naval ambition are purely defensive.
The United States has taken the lead in investing in advanced radar and missile detection technologies, including testing missiles interception systems that cost more than 200 million per test, and an expansion of the U.S. nuclear submarine fleet, including the allocation of 22.2 billion for 9 new nuclear-powered Virginia-class submarines, the largest shipbuilding contract in Navy history.
China moves a constructivity on the high seas at the same time on the most ensure that its own action and the preparation does not intensify China insecurity and the amplify and its ambition. The changer ahead is the moment the strategic advance of the United States in naval power, especially its alliance, avoiding confronting with caution and inclusivity could
On the
prevent.
other hand, one of the largest exports and imports worldwide is oil, to Texas and Saudi Arabia, or in the land pipeline from Russia to Germany. But more than 70% of oil and gas is found in the seas or is transported by sea, mainly to Asian exports. This matter for and major economies include Japan and India, which are rapidly expanding their out now expandities, partly in reports of naval movements from Beijing. Its import to the United States as well, which has become a major export for oil by sea. China is concerned about the potential threat to the sea-based energy flow, face the infamous.
France labeled Great Britain as American, denounced Australia for the treason. Australia cancelled a €56 million deal for the purchase of 12 French diesel-electric submarines by nuclear-powered submarines from Great Britain on the United States. The state is the was stabbed in the back.
Britain left the EU to create Global Britain and Fresh TV. France 24, the state that IQ Global appears to be more than just a minor ally of the United States because it will work with more allies.
France remembers its youth and young ambassadors and claiming they will release for treason.
The proceeds of the agreement and military contract from France's efforts were to publicize its strengths in the Indo-Pacific region, where 1.5 million people live on the Mayotte and Reunion Island, and New Caledonia in French Polynesia. When President Macron came to power in 2017, he prioritized the presence of French there to counter the growing trade from China. Wars and commercial competition affect society and its economic, generating new forms of transport such as maritime, thus affecting countries without the possibility of maritime accessibility.